Today we are going to have the second series of lectures as part of the Science of a Festival of Science that we are celebrating. And we have with us today a very eminent businessman, Shri Venkateshwarlu Jasti, who's going to be the guest speaker for today. I now request Dr. Ahmed Ibrahim to kindly accompany Shri Venkateshwarlu Jasti onto the dais, please. I now request Dr. Ahmed Ibrahim to kindly honor the guest with the bouquet. It's a pleasure to introduce Shri Venkateshwarlu Jasti, who is the CEO of Suven Life Sciences Limited and Managing Director of Suven Pharmaceuticals. He holds a dual PG degree in pharmacy from Andhra University, Visakhapatnam and St. John University, New York. And he is involved in various industrial associations, such as he is the President of the Indian Pharmaceutical Association, Chairman of Local Organizing Committee of the 52nd Indian Pharmaceutical Congress, Hyderabad, President of Bulk Drug Manufacturers Association of India, and the Chairman of Pharmexil Pharmaceutical Export Promotion Council. And he has been instrumental as the Chief Architect for the formation of the then AP Chief Minister's Task Force for Pharma during 2001, and is also responsible for the creation of Pharma City at Vizag by the erstwhile government of Andhra Pradesh and Pharmacil. So I would now request Shri Venkateshwarlu Jasti to please deliver his talk.
Sir, if I want to inform, sir, this is live stream. Our nation is good, sir.
Go.
And the recorded lecture is used later on for the benefit.
Sure. Good morning to everyone. The organizers have asked me to tell about the modern science and technologies milestones. There's too vast a subject for me to dwell on. I know a little bit of science, more of a business. I don't want to give you a PowerPoint presentation which has no meaning. I thought it should be an interactive session so that your doubts, if at all, with respect to the pharmaceuticals and medications, I want to clear. First, I want to give you a brief about the anecdotes and the origins of the pharma, how it happened. You know, world over, the pharmaceutical industry, without the pharmaceutical industry, the health of the nations are not there, as you know. And I'm proud to be a pharmacist, being a healthcare provider. And I hope people who are here as a pharmacist, budding pharmacist, are proud to be part of this journey. And you know, the total healthcare activity, I think it started in India in the very old era of Magadha, Gupta time itself. And you know, I think everything is translated to other countries. We can say folk medicine, Ayurveda, and all the stuff. And the origins of that is Charaka Samhita. It's way back in second Common Era. And he is the first physician. He is the contributor of the Ayurveda system of medicine. And he is the one, the concept of digestion, metabolism, and kind of a immunity is the one he has started with. Used a lot of Ayurveda medicines to do that. And that is translated to many countries because these are all plant origins and some of them are animal origins. These are all exported and used somewhere else. Then comes the Sushruta Samhita in 6th Common Era, and he is the father of the medicine and the father of surgery, and he is the one who did the surgeries those days. Even the plastic surgery, he has done that, and he has used 1100, given 1100 diseases those days, using the what do you call the medicines coming from plants, animals, living organisms, and all kinds of stuff. I think that is the origins we started with. Then actually, when it comes to the global, again, a pharmacist is involved in making the medications. Even though the doctor is the one who does this identification of the disease and all that stuff. The first company is called Merck Pharmacy, way back in 1668 they have started. And that has, after 150 years, the first operation as a manufacturing activity has taken place in 1927. You know, since that time there is no synthetic medications. It's all Ayurveda or plant origins or folk medicine, whatever you can call it. And the first drug is the extract of the alkaloids, the opium alkaloid, giving the morphine for the pain. Those are the days that was done. That's way back in 1804. Then comes the malaria. Detected, then the synthetic organic chemistry has come. Of course, malaria, the quinine also is from the plant origins. Actually, the what do you call in the middle of 1850s only, the synthetic organic chemistry has come into the picture to design the molecules and all that stuff. Of course, first company is the Merck, as I said, and the second company is the GSK, way back in 1775. Then comes to the Pfizer in 1849 in the USA. These are the origins of the pharmaceutical industry. Then the Eli Lilly and all that stuff. The crocin, whatever you call paracetamol, is detected way back in 1877. And then comes the aspirin, which is in 1890. First, it came from a bark of a willow tree. Of course, now it is synthetically manufactured. So, the modern medicines has its things in the natural resources. That's what it is all until 18th century, 19th century, early 19th century. Then only the synthetic chemistry has come in, then the biology come in. And then comes in the 1921 is the insulin detected. Of course, 1928 is the penicillin, and the bulk of the activity later, all the developments taking place, either during the community wars because they need to treat the diseases or pains or gunshot wounds or like that, or Second World War is the main this thing where the pharmaceutical industry has mushroomed because they have to take care of the people who are fighting with wounds, then of course all the diseases. Since that time, as you know, it has evolved, multifaceted. When it comes to India, in 1901, is the Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals, started by P.C. Ray. And of course, later the Jendu Pharma, Calcutta Chemicals, and in the Second World War, until that time, is only a few companies. Cipla started in 1845, Unicam in 1945, Unicam in 1940s and all that stuff. So until 1970s, more or less, we are importing the drugs, even though earlier in the British Raj, all the natural resources are sent back to other countries and then done what you call the manufacturing using either a natural resources using as a extractions or taking out the bark and purifying it, making it a medication and compounding it. And I started in my college, and the first lecture our professor told us, after all you're a compounder. That means you compound things, combination of things. And we felt, what is this? He's saying like this. But that's true, because it's an art, and science. It's not simple something which you do, mix two things together. You need to have knowledge. What happens when you mix two things together? You know what happens when acids and alkenes are mixed together. So similarly, you should know all those things. And he was kidding us, but at the same time, what is important. Pharmacists started this journey, not only this, even in the Coca-Cola, he started by a pharmacist. Because in Atlanta, because he used to do this compounding of these medications which are not good taste and not able to take people for their, especially like the castor oil and all that stuff. Then he put that fizz. Then that became a big, in a concentrate those days, in a Coca-Cola. Then the fizz came in, then it became the Coca-Cola, as you know. Similarly, so many things are happening, and these are all the pharmacists that has done the job to bring these things to it. But now you could see any number of activities in terms of the medications. It is both synthetic, biological, recombinant, and even now the personalized medications that are coming into the picture. I think the knowledge which a pharmacist possesses, I jocularly says, it's a jack of all and master of none. But and some people later use that basic knowledge to take it to the highest level in the chosen field they will be involved. When you go to the origins of Indian pharmaceutical industry until 1970, it was just the imported materials, and a few companies I have told you earlier, they used to make these things and all, and synthetic organic chemistry and all. 1970, the patent regime has come into the picture in India. The patent regime means we can copy it without any hesitation and reverse engineer it. I think that because the availability of the medications is very difficult those days, and that gave us the provision to reverse engineer the medications and supply cheaply to the Indian public. And in 90s, the growth has taken place with the multinational Indian companies starting, like all these big companies started in the 80s and 90s, and they have mushroomed and given a huge potential and giving the medications for the global needs, not only for the Indian needs, but the global needs. And we are the third largest in terms of the production, but the value-wise it's 14th. But in terms of the market position globally, market size rather, we are 11th, I think. And we're called I think we have coined the phrase in 2004 in Hyderabad itself, one of the conferences, I have coined the phrase pharmacy of the world, because at that time the Africans are coming here for a show. So Indian pharmaceutical industry is called the pharmacy of the world, because 50% of the generic medications we export to America. I mean, vaccinations and all that. 50% of global things comes from India, and 40% of the generic medications are from India. And out of that, 35% is used in USA. Now if you go to in a pharmacy, I used to work in a pharmacy. Never you saw any name, but now you don't see anything other than the branded products. Everything is in Indian name. So that's the kind of thing which we are very proud of, and the cheapest in the world compared to anywhere else, and the quality is second to none, and that's the way we have. Now it is the $24 billion exports itself, about $45 billion of market size in India, and it's going to be a huge, with the new Medicare policies and medical policies and insurance that is cropping up nowadays. Unlike before, there was no insurance. I think the opportunities are multifold, and the opportunity for the students are multifold, and I think some of you I see are, they are saying 2 colleges are here from pharmacy colleges, and you have a lot of opportunities. This 1994, there is a TRIPS agreement and World Trade Organization where we have taken away the right of the patent in 1970 in India, but we said we'll honor the same thing. We agreed during the TRIPS agreement in 1994. By 2005, we agreed for the intellectual property protection. Since 2005, we are doing that. So what we used to do from the animal origins and plant origins, and then the synthetic chemistry, and copying from the innovators' medications, which he has been doing, now we are allowing the innovations to come here, and we want to do the innovation ourselves. As you know, a drug costs close to $2 billion to develop a new drug. Of course, that includes all the failures that happens in the success, because success is less than 1%. And it's very difficult unless you have any protection, patent protection. That's what the Indian government has given since 2005. And I am a living example of doing both sides, generic side and the innovator side, and we are concentrating on doing the central nervous system disorders, and mainly for the Alzheimer's, depression, dementia, and sleeplessness, whatever you can call. There are no drugs that are available for treatment. These are all only palliative, symptomatic treatment. So the opportunities are humongous in various fields, and both in synthetic and biological and recombinant and vaccinations and whatever you can call it. So I think I just want to give you where we started, where we are now, how can we go ahead and forward. I only just want to, because giving a things everybody knows from the internet, they can find out. But what I'm saying is, what is it that you have doubts about anything and what you want to know? So I thought I would like to have interactive session rather than me giving a boring lecture. So everybody goes back, just sits here and relaxes. So now the floor is open, and I'm ready to answer your questions with the little knowledge what I have, what I practiced. So floor is yours.
Let me get the wireless mic.
Yeah, please.
Please feel free to ask anything that relates to pharma.
If you don't know what you want to ask, I don't know what to tell also. That's the problem, right? So, yeah, please go ahead.
Generic medicine is an income on the ದೇಶದ awareness రావట్లేదు. జనరిక్ మెడిసిన్ అమెరికాలో 35% వాడుతుందని చెప్పారు. మన దేశంలో తయారీ ఎక్కడ వాడుతున్నారు కానీ మన దేశంలో ఎందుకు ఇంకా అవేర్నెస్ రావట్లేదు, దానికి ఇలాంటి సొల్యూషన్స్ చర్యలు తీసుకుంటే అప్పుడు వస్తుంది.
I think you're mistaken, sir. I mean, we are only having generic medications here. There is no branded medication. What in India does is generic medicines, they put their own brand names. They are not brand. Actually, they are reverse engineered already. The innovative medicines are nothing in India. Not even a single innovative medicine is discovered in India so far. Whatever the innovative medicines that are there, they are all imported. That's for the new indications. But 95% of the drugs that are dispensed here in India are generic. There is nothing like, only thing is the difference is even in the generic, different company charges same medication, different price because they put their brand name and their advertisements and something like that. No, there is two different things. Brand means innovative product is called a brand. Generic brand is different from the innovative brand. That's what you mean to say. But we don't have innovative products per se. Whatever that is being imported, and you cannot do anything about it. All others are generic only.
కరెక్టే సార్, జనరిక్. కానీ ఇప్పుడు జనరిక్ మెడిసిన్స్కు వాటికి చాలా రేట్ డిఫరెన్స్ చాలా ఉంది కదా, 20 to 80% డిఫరెన్స్ ఉన్నది. కానీ అంత బ్రాండెడ్గా రాస్తా ఉన్నారు డాక్టర్స్ కూడా. మరి వాళ్ళకి మీద వాళ్ళకు గవర్నమెంట్ కూడా తీసుకొచ్చింది, యాక్ట్ తీసుకొచ్చింది. అయినా కానీ వాళ్ళు ఇంకా అవే రాస్తున్నారు. వాళ్ళని ఎలాంటి యాక్షన్ తీసుకోవాలి మరి?
I am not a government person to tell that part. I am an interested party actually. Well, even though I don't do have products for the marketing, I only do R&D. I don't have any products to sell. No stock and sale for me. But still I can tell you, the product, the government has a what do you call drug price control order. They control 366 drugs, and the other things they could not, because if you control and the difference between a mom and pop operations versus a full-fledged quality control organization, the cost difference is much, and also the R&D expenses, even for the innovative formulation making and all that stuff. That also has to be recuperated. That's why the price differentials are there. Yeah.
Can I take a minute to answer his question?
Yeah.
So I think there is some sort of confusion in understanding what is a brand and generic actually. So it's for you especially actually. So like anything innovative product, for example, if a company comes with an innovative product, so it owns the property for 20 years. So that company holds the rights, and as sir has already mentioned that after 20 years any company can produce with a different company logos and there is some sort of confusion here that even those after 20 years when reputed company is producing, that it is also considered as a generic only, but people are considering it as a brand. So there is some sort of slight understanding gap or a communication gap. Second thing, coming to the policy and the regulation point what you asked here, maybe this is not the forum, but still I'll try to answer this. Yeah, here like government is already initiated regarding the different stages and the awareness among the people. It is the individual who has to take the call. So government is already in place in explaining them and creating awareness. It is at the individual level the awareness should come on. Thank you.
If you see, the government already started this Jan Aushadhi dispensaries, where that means the Crocin is the brand name, but paracetamol is the actual name, right? So paracetamol can be sold somewhere else, I mean various prices. So in Jan Aushadhi they are trying to do something like that, I think. But one thing I want to, this question is not only here. When I was practicing in USA also, the same thing, no? They go to the doctor, they spend 3 to 4 hours or 5 hours to see him and get the things. And when they come out and just see it is a Tylenol, like a acetaminophen or something like that, dispenses, and then we charge, and then he gets mad because it's costing $3 or $2 per bottle, whatever it is, because he's frustrated with the agony of waiting at the doctor and getting a thing which you can buy over the counter. That's the kind of things. But they don't mind going into a Starbucks or barista, they don't ask any questions. I can get in the outside in a thing 20 cents, but barista, Starbucks, I go $5, $4, nobody bothers. This being an essential thing, which we don't want to get sick. That's why when you get sick, you have to buy medicines. Then you got a already inbuilt frustration. So even though this cost of the drugs in India are the cheapest in the world, nowhere you have cheaper medication than here. And what we sell, you don't believe it. If I sell for 1 rupee here, I sell $1 in USA. That's the way I'm making my money. I mean, I'm doing the pharmaceutical industry. I'm more or less, I'm giving it for cost plus kind of a thing. But if you want to innovate, you want to get a new medications. With this new personalized medications, these are new things that are going on. You need to put resources for the R&D. R&D is not easy. There is a 0 to 1. There is no in between. There is a partial. In the generics, there is a guaranteed success. If you think it's a 90% yield or 80% yield, you get some yield. In innovation, either you get a product or you don't get a product. And again, in India, that's why not many people, not many, I mean, there are only 3 or 4 companies that are doing innovation. And because it's a huge expense, and India don't provide any relief, even from the government side. And of course, funding side, nothing will happen here. So this is a problem, which it's a, when you are in distress, any expense is going to be huge. I mean, easy to say, but when you go to that, you don't only know that it is what it is. Otherwise, we are the cheapest, and I think we have a long way to go, and it can be made cheaper. But we are depending on some of the intermediates from other countries where, especially even I'm talking about the paracetamol itself, some of the raw materials prices have gone up by 4-fold or 5-fold. So they have no choice but to pass on the things. But the supply chain initiatives and the continuity is the name of the game. Any students has anything you guys thinking?
Please feel free to ask. Just raise your hand if anybody has a question. Yeah, here.
Good morning, sir, everyone. And I would like to ask the question, like you have told that a man without the knowledge is nothing. If we learn anything, we have to get a knowledge, you have told us, sir. As I am of zero knowledge in the pharmacy field, so what you can suggest us to, as we are the budding pharmacists, sir, what you can suggest us to be a good pharmacist and full-fledged knowledge pharmacist in our future, where we can be successful like as you?
You think that after so many years you think successful, but we have gone through this much more harder than what you guys are going through. Those days we don't have anything, and we have to share the single thing for the whole class and watch only, not even touch it. Those days, of course, now the labs are much better and all that stuff. Yes, there is one gap that is existing in the present system. It's becoming more of a bookish knowledge rather than the practical knowledge that's happening even in the, what do you call it, the colleges. And there is the second thing is the practice. I mean, yeah, naturally when I look for somebody, I look for the experience. And if I take somebody, what happens is a new person, practical things I'm telling you, I have to attach a senior person to teach them. Nowadays, 10% of the people are only having a knowledge of whatever they are studying there. 90% has to be again taught again in our classes. Now, when we take somebody as a fresher, as a trainee, first 6 months is going to be a multitasking. That means we put them in the QC, we put them in the manufacturing, and various disciplines like that, because they should know you cannot be in one place and do only the same thing day in, day out. You should know the requirement of the other departments, because it's a multitude of activities brings in a project. So this industry and institution interaction, which we were talking about for a long time while I was in the association also, is not materializing, because what's happening is the expectations are different from the industry and the expectations are different from the institutes. So it's not matching, and the government is also not really doing anything. I think it is a grassroots problem. I think it needs to be much more. Second thing is, we are thinking of putting in finishing schools. That means to train on actual equipments rather than the lab-based equipments, at least 3 months to have a better knowledge. But that's also not picking up. I mean, there is no straightforward answer. I mean, you're right. It is a catch-22 situation. Either you are there or not there. But once you are there, I don't know how many people, pharmacists now, when we are studying is only 2 colleges in India. 2, Andhra University and Banaras University. Now if you see this in Telangana itself, maybe 150 colleges or something like that. Where they are going, I don't know, because we are not observing that many people. Most of them are going in the IT industry, it looks like. But if it's really this thing, there need to be a interaction between the industry and the institutes through the governmental, some kind of a collaborative arrangements has to be done, and knowledge, and of course now you get a 1 month or some practical training, what we used to go, or 2 months, 3 months. Most of the things, the request I get is just give us a certificate. This is what happens. I mean, this is not only that industry wants to give you, also some people are saying just to give me a certificate. So this is the kind of situation is going on. It has to be a change in the mindset, both in the industry and from the institutes, and mainly the students. And I have institutes, I have things where masters people, they're working in the industry and they are getting their degrees from the, universities. That's also a big no-no, and a lot of changes has to be taking place. And focus has to be there. Focus is not there, I think, from both sides. It's not one side. You're only asking about the practical problems, but do you have any idea about what kind of new things that are happening? What do you want to learn, and anything like that? That's where the interaction helps, rather than me telling you, because I tell you only something which may not be of interest to anybody.
Why don't our India has much scope for the pharmacies than other countries, as we are having higher population than other countries?
Just tell me again.
Why don't our India has much scope for the pharmacies than other countries? As in India, we have more population than other countries.
Because here the government is the main culprit. Go to the... What I'm saying is, pharmacy is the most trusted profession in the world after the priest. Do you know that? Most trusted profession. They don't, even the doctors are behind us, even though they are the ones who does the identification and all that stuff. Because pharmacist is, in other countries, is called as a doctor. In other words, just doc they call it. And any problem in the neighborhood comes and they go to the local pharmacy and they confide with them. Even the things they could not confide with the family, they confide with the things and get the remedies for them. So that is the kind of trusted person there. The respect is there. But you see here what happens, the people here in the drugstores, who are there? I mean, only one are diploma in pharmacy, the rest of them are all non-pharmacy people that are thriving. And they are here, what we are doing, just dispensing, and there is no knowledge whatsoever. And in the USA, there is a called consultation. When they dispense, they just don't give just like that. They give you, they tell you how to take, and what are not to take, when to take, all those things, including for that, even though they charge money, I mean, they have the much more knowledge, drug-drug interactions they will tell you. Because you go to different doctors and you get different medications, but at the same time you will be taking the same thing day in, day out. So you should know which one to take, and you know when you are studying that, you know all those things. But who is doing that in India? And it is not an organized way. Only recently they are actually, even the storage is also being taken place recently, nicely. Otherwise, no, storage is also a bad place. Like 60 degrees, 50 degrees, it will be there. There is, even though our stability is done only at 30 degrees or 28 degrees or ambient temperatures or whatever it is. So it is mainly the drug distribution, and this thing is not given any importance. This government did not give any importance to healthcare and the education. That's the bad part of it. Unless the change happens there, nothing happens. Unless the respect is given to the pharmacists, the profession will not grow. Even the doctors are losing their respect nowadays, as you know. It's not only pharmacists. So the numbers are there, but at the same time, the way we are distributing, and even for that, I mean, if you are putting more number of people, the cost will add up too. And the gentleman's question will come into the picture, then why we are not getting cheaper or whatever it is. I mean, that's natural, but as a consumer, I feel the same too. So it's a dichotomy, but we have to evolve a long way. It's a long way to go. And that's the way it works.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. Sir, I have a question. As people say, failures are the stepping stones for success. Failures are the stepping stones for success. So, what are the failures or the problems you have faced in the beginning of your career, sir?
As I said, a word, jack of all and master of none, right? Okay. Your degree, you think this, because we do multitudes of activities in our pharmacy degree, right? You think that is a passport for your success, that's all it is. Then you concentrate what you love best, okay? Then, I mean, it's not that always it's going to be a guaranteed stuff, because the opportunity also has to come on the way. I mean, you have to have some luck too, of course, but the focus has to be there. That's the way it is. Of course, I did everything. I mean, when I was studying, my thinking was only to go to PhD, and I was applying everywhere, but nothing else, right? But what happened? I mean, the luck has to have it also. Those days when I am applying, I went to the US consulate. Then they said, you're a pharmacist, there is a shortage of pharmacists in USA. You don't need any, this thing, just get a support document from somebody and you will get a green card day one. We got a green card day one in Chennai, not even, I don't have to go to USA. But I went there. When I went there, that's the bad period of the decade at that time, no jobs whatsoever. So I worked here in, after my master's, I worked in Warner for a year in the formulations. And I went there, I could not get any job. Then I had to do odd jobs, including truck loading. You don't believe, 40-foot truck I used to load myself in a minus 30 degrees centigrade, right? But I worked in a soup company as a quality analyst. Of course, then I got into pharmacy as an intern, and then I wrote exam, and then I became the registered pharmacist. So from pill making to I went to pill dispensing. So then, of course, few years, 15 years I lived there, and I came back. When I came back here, I wanted to set up an industry, so we set up a bulk drug manufacturing unit. That means, so from the pill making to pill dispensing to the raw materials pill making, I have done it. Then I thought after some time, this is not the right one for me, because my mind is always on the R&D. So in 1994, when the TRIPS agreement has come, I have thought of myself and coined a new phrase called CRAMS in the pharmaceutical world, Contract Research and Manufacturing Services, aligning with the innovators, doing R&D for them. That's what I did, and now that's a global word and it's global things. And with the intention, by the time 2005 comes in, I want to do my own innovation. CRAMS remains the same, but the connotation changes to collaborative research and manufacturing services. That's when I started our drug discovery program. We are continuing with 18 molecules in the pipeline, 4 in the clinical trials. So it's not that you have to have a focus, and of course, as I said, some luck also needs to be there. It's not that easy a road, but at the same time, when you focus it and concentrate it and put your mind to it, I think you will achieve, but it's not a guaranteed stuff anyway.
So some students would have to ask questions, but the majority of them seems to have inhibition. I thought I will fill in their gap. Couple of questions. One, you said you are working in the domain of CNS related to drug discovery. For the benefit of the students and even for my own benefit, what are the targets or molecular targets that are possible? Probably you may not want to disclose your own idea related, but that's fine. That is one thing. Other thing is slightly away, but what is the extent of these either Alzheimer's and other this kind of dementia related problems in India? That may not be directly linked to the pharma development, but ultimately you look at what is the problem and then you come back to this. The second thing I just want to ask is that this is linked in 2 ways. For the benefit of the students, what are the areas that they can look for in the pharma drug? As far as the R&D, this is the area where there is a gap, that they can focus on these areas, that they should work on the R&D aspect. Or I would put it the other way, when you said there's a gap from the industry expectations, whereas the academic looks at a different. Maybe these two can be clubbed in one way, say that in which direction they can go, the current generation.
No, when it comes to the students choosing which one is the R&D or whatever it is, there are 2 ways to look at it. If you are working for somebody and they will decide what will you do. Okay, only when you are studying it and when you go to specialize it in masters, then you will, based on your interest and those things only, you will be doing it. But when it comes to the industry, they will take care of you and they will tell you what to do. Choosing what kind of an R&D, that's only people who are going to venture into the innovation as a startup or something like that. The reason why I chose central nervous system diseases is twofold. We are living long. We are otherwise hale and healthy, but the old age things are coming and haunting you, like dementias, the depressions, the pain and all that stuff. No drug available as of today for any CNS drug to treat, period. It doesn't treat anything. It's only cut down the pain. And the other problem is when you do for a new clinical entity, new drug discovery, and when you test it, how do you measure the pain? If it's sugar, you can measure. Blood pressure, you can measure. Some other things you can measure. How do you measure the memory? How do you measure the pain like that? Depression, what is the weather? These are all suggested by the scales. and these are all surrogate markers kind of things. And doing that and replicating that in the clinical setting and getting a result is very, very difficult. That's why success rate in central nervous system, you see, this is less than 1%. Less than 1%. And whereas other things where you have a measurement is taking place, it is much more easier. When it comes to central nervous system, is anything to do with it? I mean, there is nothing is known. It's a wide open field. It's a huge market potential because there is, as you could see, there is new drugs that are being developed to treat disease modifying, at least if not treat modifying thing. Each is costing $3 to $4 billion, and nothing is moving further because it is one is the, as I was telling the other people, Alzheimer's disease. You think people are Alzheimer's based on some clinical symptoms. But when I do the R&D, I mean not R&D, clinical trial, phase 2 clinical trial, I have done 560 patients all in US. 40% of the patients were enrolled are non-Alzheimer type, but the symptoms are there, that's why we are taken. The success rate is very bad. Alzheimer's is known only post-death and the autopsy. Until that time, you are going by the clinical symptoms and there is no treatments that are available. So it's a very difficult proposition. If you want to do innovative things, you can do a service-based or things which is much easier to do that. But first, you have to have inclination. Just because so-and-so is good, and if you don't have the domain knowledge, either to learn from your teachers or from anybody else, is very difficult. Those things will come in industrial settings. So that's what I'm saying. It is very difficult. In USA, the industry sponsorships are from the industry to the universities are very heavy. That means while they are doing PG, they're all involved in the drug discovery and development because the industry sponsors the products and the intellectual property is created by them and they learn a lot. And that is not there in this country because we don't do innovation, period. We only do the reverse engineering so far. Only few of us are doing innovation, and there's not much opportunity for many people to interact.
Thank you. Actually, you rightly said that's what I'm trying to convey. The challenging is how to evaluate the pain. So maybe these are the areas where they can look for. Maybe there are some kids who want to take up the challenging jobs. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Like that, are there any domains that they can enter into and venture their own ideas and then try it out?
I think they are in the budding stage. First they have to learn, then their venture will come into the final, and at that time they will have enough knowledge, I think better than us, if really they want to go through, because if I say something is only limited to my area, what we are thinking. But there is a number of opportunity, as I said, with the personalized medications that are coming in, the new biologicals that are coming in, there is a number of opportunities are there. But of course, the obstacles are also humongous.
Other point I was trying to get from you is that if you happen to have failures in either in the CNS domain or either any domains for some reasons, maybe that gives an opportunity for them to come out. Like in this area we could not succeed because we wanted to go in this way. We tried this target, but we failed for whatever the reasons. That's why it was a side effect or it was not the right drug. So that they would have an opportunity to keep working on that.
That's mainly for the R&D based activity. That's intellectual property creation. Those are the things that will be give the way. That means again you need to have a sponsor for that. That's who will sponsor either the industry or the government. Government, what did they do? Whatever the small incentive they have for R&D, 35 AB weighted average tax deduction, that also they have taken away. So the government they said make in India, but how do you make in India without having an innovation or the R&D into picture? And walking the talk is not there.
Do we have time? Can I talk 1 or 2 minutes?
Yeah. 1 minute.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Thank you. Yeah, I think what Hanu sir was asking rightly, like the student point of view, we have many inhibitions. when I was there, like you, we do have inhibitions. Basically, what I am trying to tell you here is like every one of you are very unique, and the thing is, one has to have the confidence on his own that we can do something. And coming to the different domains, I would request you people to regularly visit the sites, CDSCO. Most of you may be aware, your staff will guide you, but still I thought to place it here. Because apart from the normal degree, I would say now it is a competitive world. So apart from the degree, try to start doing some sort of online work or online research activities, because you have to compete with others. So you have to aim so such a way that you do all these courses. You have the pharmacovigilance, one area that is now coming up. There is another area, meteorovigilance. There is another area, hemovigilance. We have the clinical trials. Apart from the clinical trials, we have the preclinical trials. Apart from this, your position is again placed in a hospital where the therapeutic drug monitoring is very, very important. Now there is a shift. Well, it was mainly here in the US. Now it is in the Indian scenario also. I have seen one or two people who are with a pharmacy background working in a hospital in the TDM area, therapeutic drug monitoring area. So you have to explore, go to the government websites like CPCA is another website, so you will get more ideas. So by the time you finish your course, you will be having more ideas and you can explore different options depending upon your interest. Some people have good area in writing of medical background wise, good area writing. So medical writing is another area. Some have like quality check. So you have to identify yourself where you fit. So apart from the regular activities, try to do some online courses and visit the government website so that you get a broader idea. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Taking his point, is very relevant, but at the same time, the teachers in the colleges also need to go into this aspect, and actually the teachers are the ones who need to get having this industry interaction has to take place rather than the students, to know the requirements first, and of course the availability. I think that is another thing which need to happen. Then only they can influence the students to take a particular direction. That will be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that very informative talk and for letting us know the evolution of the pharma industry in India, and also for sharing your personal experiences and making this session very interactive. Thanks a lot, and I'm sure the budding pharmacists and the young students here have benefited from your talk. I would now request Dr. Ahmed Ibrahim to kindly honor our guest with a shawl and a memento.
Side.
Okay, the students can proceed to the stalls now.
In batches of 20, along with
Yeah.
the volunteers.
Along with the volunteers, you can open this